Hi guys, as you know, this next week we are going to have a new patch and they are going to introduce 16 new cards to the game. So I want to take advantage of the opportunity to talk about some archetypes or mechanic that I want to see introduced to the game in the future. Since we are seeing some mechanics and some interactions being introduced in this patch, maybe thinking about what is possible in the future is a cool experiment. In this patch we have the Galactus and the Thanos that are archetype defining and they seem really fun. And as I talk about in my video where I talk about my 5 most anticipated unreleased cards that have been data mined, you know that I like fun cards that create archetypes and that define something interesting in the game. So I want to tell you guys about my 3 archetypes that I want to see implemented in the game because they seem something that could be fun and original to implement in the game. This isn't based on power level. I don't care about power level. I just want to do something cool in the game, and that not everybody is playing the same bullshit, but we have different strategies and ways of coming to a victory, you know. I'm not gonna talk about specific cards that I want designed because I'm not a game designer, at least not for now, not a card designer, but that is the job of the developer. But what I'm going to talk about is about archetypes and some mechanics that could be implemented in the game. The first archetype that I would like to see in the game is having some form of gaining an advantage for having negative power on your side of the board. For example, having a hood in your board, having a goblin on your side of the board, having a location that gives you negative power like the negative zone or the sewer system, or they could even create a card that gives you the same ability as a location with negative power like the negative zone, the necrotia, or the sewer system to all the cards in the lane, and ongoing ability like -2 power to all cards in this lane, so that you have more negative power, you know. And this could also interact with cards like Hazmat that gives everything negative power, you know. So taking advantage of having negative power on your side of the board, they could do it like creating a card that turns negative power into positive power, you know. That is the most obvious thing that comes to mind, and that will be so cool because you build negative power in your side of the board and then you get a big payoff when you play the card that turns negative power into positive power. Of course, this has to be carefully balanced because turning negative power into positive power is a big power swing. Because for example, if you have 8 negative power and you flip it to 8 positive power, that is a 16 power play, you know. It is really powerful. So maybe don't have it be on the whole board and on just on one lane or a specific card. I don't know, that is a joke, but I want something that takes advantage of having negative power on your side of the board, so your plays focus on having negative power. How cool is that? Nobody wants to have negative power unless you are playing this deck. Now you play negative power because that will have a payoff later on, and I love that strategy. That seems really cool to me, and a lot of cards that were mediocre can be good, you know, and unlock new strategies, and it opens up another realm of possible cards that you can create, like the one I was saying, having a card that gives you the same ability as an Encroacher or a sewer system, you know, that affects both lanes on an ongoing ability. So yes, I love this archetype. I hope someday this becomes a reality because I will play the fuck out of that deck, bro. The next archetype I want to see implemented in the game is an archetype that takes advantage of moving locations or flipping locations and turning locations on something else. Because right now we have several cards that can turn a location into something else, can flip a location, can destroy a location, and we even have a card that right now is useless that just moves the locations, and that card is Quake, of course. So I want them to implement something that can take advantage of all this location manipulation, you know. Maybe a big payoff card like this card gets +2 power for every time that a location has changed or moved this game, you know. And then if you flip or change a bunch of locations during the game, then you get a big payoff, you know. For example, what will be good in this deck? Of course, the Scarlet Witch, the Storm will be good, the Rhino that right now sucks will be good, and the Quake will be good because I'm including the movement, not only the flipping of a location. And in the data mine cards that are on release, they have a card called Legion that that also converts locations. I believe it is like turn the other 2 locations into this location. That is the power that on release card has. So this possible archetype also takes that into consideration. Give me a big payoff for turning around locations, you know, and then the archetype will be building a deck that fears flip locations a lot, that turns location, move locations, and then I get cards that get something good from turning and flipping locations, you know. That will be great. I would love to see a deck like that. Give me a big payoff for moving and flipping locations. This will be really fun. It will unlock a new archetype and I would love it. The third archetype was kind of hard to think about because I was too focused on the first 2 because those were the first ones that came to mind. And when I was thinking about the third archetype, 2 came to mind that are very similar. So I'm gonna talk about the 2 of them, but I'm going to say what I believe will be the coolest one, because the other one may be not fun for the opponent or maybe too imbalanced, you know. And the one that could be imbalanced is having an advantage by making your opponent have few cards, like the opposite of Ronan. Imagine an inverted Ronan, like you get +5 power if your opponent doesn't have any cards, like an inverted strong guy. If your opponent doesn't have any cards, you get +6 power. I don't know. So you have to make your opponent play cards. So that is a design space to make the opponent play cards, but you could also make them discard, and then you have the Moon Knight that can do that, and suddenly Black Bolt that sucks could be good. So that is a possible strategy. The thing is that they would have to introduce more cards that make the opponent discard, and that could be really imbalanced because they couldn't play anything and that sucks. Or maybe not something that make them discard, but something that makes them play. So maybe that isn't that imbalance, and you just get the power for the card that gets the advantage for them not having cards in their hand. But that gave me another idea that I believe is cooler. Like, you get a card that gets a lot of power if they have a depleted deck, if they drew out their whole deck. And now you have to build a deck that makes them draw out their entire deck. And that is more nuanced because drawing cards is a great ability, you know. So if they have the possibility of playing their whole deck, that could be detrimental to you. But if you build a good deck that it doesn't matter if they draw out their whole deck, that could be really fun. And you could have cards like Cable that draw from their deck. You could play the Yondu that destroys a card from their deck. So now they can't play those 2 cards. You also have the Mantis copies it. It isn't the same thing. But you could play a Maximus, a Baron Mordo. You make them draw the cards, but the Baron Mordo is kinda disruptive. So you make them draw their deck, or you simply destroy their deck like the Yondu and the Cable, and when they don't have anything else to draw, you get a big advantage. That would be so cool, bro. That would be a neat archetype. I would love to see that archetype implemented in the game, and that is my 3rd archetype. Make me destroy the opponent's deck, make me draw their deck for them, and I will get a big payoff because of doing that. And that will be great, bro. So these are my 3 favorite archetypes that I want to see implemented in the game someday. I hope one day we'll get at least one of these 3, bro. At least one of these 3. Give me one of those, please. Second dinner. Be nice to me. And yes, bro, this was a very quick video just to let you guys know this stuff, and so we can have ideas of how to expand the design space in the game. What do you think about these archetypes? What will be your favorite archetypes? Let me know in the comments below, please. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. The support you are giving me is insane. Thank you very much. Remember to follow me on Twitch. I will stream today after the World Cup game. So yes, thank you very much for being here. You are awesome. And remember, as the great Bill Hicks said, this is just a ride.